Hi there, Dan here again. As a proposal guy, I've always stressed that the more you know about your evaluator, the better able you are going to be to meet their needs. I've also learned that evaluation is a very subjective process, and the evaluators need to feel good about awarding you the most points, or not taking off points as the case may be. This means you need to know as much about them, about their hot buttons, as you can. Now, some of my clients in the past have known about their customers' hot buttons because they've worked with them before, or maybe they were the incumbent, so that made it easy. But for the most part, you are not going to know who all the evaluators are on the panel. So the only way that you can figure out what their hot buttons are and what they need to give you the highest points, or to take off as few points as possible, is to think like the evaluator, or how to understand what they want without knowing who they are. Before we go on, let's take a look at what you'll learn by watching this video. You'll learn the questions you need to ask about the evaluators at each level of the evaluation process. I'll talk about how to tailor your proposal to meet their concerns. And we'll talk about how you can learn about your customer's evaluation process. Okay, if you watch the How Evaluators Evaluate video, you'll remember this: the evaluator's pyramid. Let's quickly go through these three levels. Your first level evaluators read the proposal to verify your technical ability to do the work required. These subject matter experts make a professional assessment of your approach and determine your competence. The second level evaluators are looking more for the big picture and leave the details to the subject matter experts. And the third level, the decision maker, relies on the recommendations of the second level. All right, these are the levels. You know generally what the evaluators at each level are looking for. Now you need to think like the evaluators at each level. You need to ask yourself, if I was the evaluator at each level, what would I be looking for? What would I want to feel satisfied with the answers? This will help you figure out the best way to prepare your response to the RFP. For the first level, the evaluators are subject matter experts. They're applying their expertise to see if you have a good understanding of the technical issues associated with the approach. As a technical expert assigned to write this section, what do you think they'd want to see? Ask yourself these questions. Have you given them exactly what the RFP asked for? Let me tell you what the biggest complaint evaluators have about proposals they have to read. The one thing they wish they could tell everyone who writes a proposal is this: follow the instructions in the RFP. Give us what we asked for. So, you need to make sure you read the RFP carefully. Outline your proposal according to whatever scheme the RFP gives you, and read each requirement to understand exactly what they are looking for. Doing this will make it hard for the evaluators to deduct points simply because your proposal does not comply with what the RFP asked for. When you don't give them what they ask for, you make it harder for them to score your proposal. And if you make an unpleasant job like proposal evaluation even harder and more unpleasant, your score will suffer. Next, you want to ask, what would prove your understanding of the project? The best way to do this is to provide details of the specific work to be accomplished. Don't give them a generic description of your approach. Apply it to their situation. This gives them the warm, fuzzy feeling that you know their project. Now, this does not mean that you simply restate the project objectives paragraph they may have included in the front of the RFP. Most RFPs have them. You must go beyond this and give your interpretation based on your professional judgment of the nature of the project and the quote-unquote hidden issues that must be resolved to succeed at it. Remember that the evaluators are intimately familiar with their project and their role in it. The more you demonstrate an understanding of their project, the better you make them feel about you. And making them feel good about you is what you're after. Now, you have to ask what would show your technical competence. Technical evaluators want to be assured that your team is capable of doing the technical work necessary. Details will help prove that. When you explain your approach, tell them why you have decided to do it this way and not another way. Explain the benefits of your approach in a way that they can understand. If you've done your homework on the customer, that is, if you visited them before the RFP to find out what the project is all about, you should know something about the details of the project. As you plan your write-up, think about what details you as a subject matter expert would expect to see. Think hard about the task you are writing about. What details of doing the work can you apply to their specific project? Tying details of their project or task in your write-up will go a long way to buying credibility with the evaluator. It shows you know enough about both the technical approach and how it applies to their specific needs. Again, this gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling that you can really execute the work. Now, the people at the second level will likely read the entire proposal. They will assume the specialists in the first level will have adequately assessed your technical competence. These people are more big picture oriented than the first level. They will be looking at how well the proposal as a whole gives them the comprehensive solution, that is, tasks, people, schedule, and price, that they really want. The most important thing to remember about this group is that they will be making a recommendation to the decision maker. To recommend you, they need to know what you bring beyond compliance and competence. So, ask yourself these questions. First, what can you say that shows you understand project issues and can resolve them? If you have done your pre-proposal marketing well, you will know what these people consider important. For example, some of these evaluators may be project or program managers. They will be concerned with management, scheduling, and risk and cost management. Think hard about what kinds of management problems might arise during the project. Then come up with solutions to them. This will make the managers in this group feel like you have given their project more than just superficial thought. For example, you might spend some time identifying potential risks that could get in the way of successfully executing the program. Then, of course, you must show how you would mitigate these risks. Is there a schedule risk, for example? What is it, and how would you mitigate it? A technical risk? Ditto. This shows you have given their project a lot of serious thought and have devised a tailored approach. Next, ask, what are your strengths and how you can highlight them? You thought about your strengths or you wouldn't be proposing on this job in the first place. What's important to these folks is that they see the connection between your strengths and the clear and direct benefits they bring to the customer. So as you compile your list of strengths, make sure you figure out if that strength is bringing something of value to the customer. This, of course, means that you know what your customer values, but you should have some idea about that if you have done your pre-RFP customer visits. The important thing to remember is that these people will be making recommendations to the third-level decision maker. They must be able to say to the boss, we recommend Acme because of the following 3 main reasons. Your strengths and the benefits they bring can be these reasons. Next, you want to ask, how can you show that you are different than your competitors? Now, the entire time they read your proposal, these evaluators will likely be making comparisons to the other competitors. And they also must be able to tell the boss, we chose Acme over all the other firms because they are the only firm who can complete this project successfully. This means that of all the competitors, only you can give them what they want. You have to help these evaluators make this case to the chief decision maker. Your job is to think hard about your competition and come up with ways of presenting your approach and your strengths so that the evaluator comes away believing that even though you can all do the work, your team brings the best value to the effort. This makes it easy for them to list you number 1 in the rankings. Finally, you have to ask, what do they need to see that shows you understand the big picture? As I said earlier, these evaluators want to know if you bring a comprehensive solution. If you do all of the above, you will go a long way toward answering this question. But here's one more thing. One of the best ways to show you have a firm grasp of the big picture is to present the evaluators with a unified proposal. Now, the best way to do this is to first identify the top reasons why you should be selected. These will be your proposal themes. And then present them in the cover letter or executive summary. Then, make sure that each section of the proposal expands and reinforces these messages. The evaluators will see an integrated proposal which sends the overall message that your team is capable of executing an integrated project. Now, the third level. In most cases, the decision maker will not have time or inclination to read all the proposals. At most, they will read the executive summary or cover letter before they hear the second level make their recommendations. So there are 2 main questions that you should ask about the evaluators at the third level. What can you say in the cover letter or executive summary that shows you understand the issues and have a credible and attractive solution? Now you need to give as much detail as you can in a short space to give this person the warm, fuzzy feeling that you understand what he, she, they want to achieve and that you are the team to give it to them. And the next question is, how can you say it so the decision maker can get it quickly? You need to say this quickly, succinctly, and powerfully. They don't have time. They won't take the time to read much. Effective executive summaries are very hard to write. You need to take your time. I talk a lot more about this in the How to Write Executive Summaries video. Now, these are just starter questions. The point is that you have to think about the people at each level and what they're going to be focusing on during their evaluation. This approach allows you to get an idea of the sorts of things these guys are going to be looking for when they have your proposal and the evaluation criteria in front of them. There's another way for you to learn more about the evaluators without knowing who they are, and that is to read their evaluation guidelines. Every public agency and many private firms have documented the evaluation process. Public agencies have to in the role of doling out public dollars. Here are just a few I found after no more than 5 minutes searching on the web. I have found that most evaluation teams follow their official guidelines mainly because they don't want to have to reinvent the wheel each time they hold out a project to bid. By reading what they are supposed to do during an evaluation, you will get a better understanding of how they go about putting together the RFP package, how they assemble their review team, and how they review and evaluate proposals. This is a great way to get an insight into how your customer will operate during the evaluation. And finally, there's just one more thing to say about thinking like the evaluator. Nothing beats first-hand knowledge. The only real way to think like them is to make a point to find out who might serve on the evaluation panel, and you do this during your pre-RFP customer contacts and visits. You'll learn as much as you can about each player's hot button. You do this by asking questions, find out what their issues are, then figure out a way to address them. And then you need to document what you learn and use the data as you write the proposal. Write down what you learn from them, and it will be enormously valuable as you write your proposal. I talk a lot about this in other videos, but I couldn't miss the chance to reinforce it here. Okay, think like an evaluator. That's it for now. You can always send questions and comments via the form on the page, and don't forget to check out the rest of the videos. And until next time, happy proposaling.